You got her, dude. She's down.
Let's go.
Dude, I just shot a deer of a lifetime.
Freaking smoked him.
One with nature, and if you're a believer, one with God.
Definitely gets your heart pumping. Boy, you are in trouble.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another Fall Obsession Podcast episode driven by Ridge Rock Hunt Company. Proud partners over there. We'll talk about them at the end in our sponsor segment. I'm Sam with Fall Obsession, your podcast host. Appreciate you guys joining me for another Monday morning episode on here. I'm excited for this episode, first off. Excited for the hunt that we're going to talk about. I'm on here with a really, really fun crew. Only half of the fun crew, really, unfortunately. First off, first time on the podcast, our Pro Staffer and Midwestern Regional Staff Coordinator Todd Sellon. Welcome, Todd, to Fall Obsession Podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, and excited to be here. So
awesome. Yeah, we're happy to have you. We got Todd's wife, also a Fall Obsession staffer, Heather Sellon. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you.
And one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet, he's back on the podcast, been a while, Andy Meeks. Welcome back, buddy.
It's always an honor. Welcome. I'm glad to be back, so thank you.
Glad to have you. So, guys, we're here to talk about a Missouri Snow Goose hunt that you guys were recently a part of. Tyler and Delaney were also a part of this crew that went on this hunt, I guess around a couple weeks ago, going on a couple weeks at this point. Really wanted to have them on here with us. 6 people on one podcast is just a little hectic. Kind of in the past 4 has seemed to be a good conversation in our max. So when we planned this episode for our listeners, when we planned this, I was talking to Todd and we decided to do 2 parts. This one being part 1, and then the episode directly after this one will be part 2. Todd and I are going to sit down with Delaney and Tyler and get them on here as well, and give them the opportunity to share some of their experiences and that kind of stuff. But for now, we got this crew. It's going to be a fun time. Looking forward to this conversation. But Todd, I'm going to hand it to you to kind of kick things off. If you want to tell us just a little bit about what this hunt was meant to be and how it came to be. Just sure. As in, you know, what the idea was behind this event. So
sure. So it really started over a year ago. Andy and I were out in Colorado on a pheasant hunt that was hosted by Tim Burgess, and we happened to be hanging out one night after a hunt in his grandparents' basement, and Andy just looked at me and said, "Hey, you ever snow goose hunt before?" I said, "Nope, I've never snow goose hunted before." And so he started explaining what snow goose hunting was about, and the more he got into it, the more detail he gave, he really started to pique my interest a little bit. So when I went home a day or 2 later, I said to Heather, first of all, listen, you got to meet Fall Obsession staffers in person. You absolutely have to, because we communicate all the time electronically, but we don't have very many opportunities to actually get together in person. And it's totally different once you get to meet the people in person. So with that being said, I had this vision of what can we do, and I actually called you, Sam, about it. Well, how can we get more people involved to meet in person versus electronically? And so with that thought, I came up with this vision of why don't we look into snow goose hunting, come up with a snow goose hunt, and try to get a bunch of staffers together just to hang out and enjoy each other's company, and then be able to go, get after some snow geese at the same time. And so I started doing some research, and one of the first outfitters that really grabbed my attention was Squaw Creek Hunt Club out of Mountain City, Missouri there. And so I contacted the owner, and he explained what the details were with the hunt and what to expect and so on and so forth. And it really, like I said, got me excited about trying this and trying to get a group of people together. So he gave me some dates, and the first date that he gave us actually fell within an off time for Heather and I. We're both teachers. And so it's hard for us just to take time off in the middle of a year. We have to be creative and look at the times that we do have off that are built into our calendar.
Yeah.
And so the first time that he had available was during a midwinter break. It was perfect. That's perfect. But the kicker was it was only like 3 weeks away. So I didn't know if we had enough time to get the word out and get enough staffers on board on such short notice, so on and so forth. We were able to get a couple staffers on, but about a week before we were supposed to go, a polar vortex came down from Canada and swept through the Midwest. So make a long story short, the owner, Scott Croner, he called me and said, listen, guys, which you know, I like how honest Scott was. He was just, it spoke volumes about his character when he called us and said, listen, guys, I could take your money, but here's what you're going to experience. You're going to go out, you're going to freeze your tails off, you're going to stare at an empty sky because all the geese went back down south. He goes, I can certainly take your money if you want, but know that you're going to have that. He goes, so let's look at rescheduling. So that's what we did. The next time we rescheduled was Thanksgiving. We all had some things come up that were totally out of control. Yeah, totally out of our control. And again, I called Scott and said, listen, I understand you're running a business. You're trying to make money, and we've canceled on you a couple of times. So I understand if you just take our deposit and say, tough luck, But he wasn't. He said, no, we understand that life happens. Let's look at it at the spring hunt. So we were able to get a hold of him again after Christmas. We were able to book some dates. We got a hold of Andy, was part of the crew. We had a couple other people that were involved at the time, and we worked out a date. And, the vision I had over a year ago about getting a group of people together to go after snow geese really came to fruition. And, man, it was an amazing time. It was so much fun. Like I said, we laughed nonstop for the entire weekend. And really the icing on the cake was being able to harvest some snow geese.
Awesome. And I mean, that's how you want a hunting camp to be, man. You want it to be fun. You want it to be enjoyable. It's not just about the killing or anything. It's about the experience and the people you're with, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And so, Andy, I have a question for you because Todd mentioned that you put this bug in his ear about a snow goose hunt back in Colorado. What was that, January of 20, Todd? Or
21.
21? Okay.
Was it 20? Yeah, it would be 21, yeah.
So, over a year ago, Andy, why snow geese? What is the difference? And I'll preface that with I'm from Texas. I am not a waterfowl guy. I've done very little waterfowl hunting in my life. So why snow geese versus just regular goose hunting versus duck hunting? All the different opportunities. Why snow geese?
Well, the spring hunt, the conservation season. Okay, they opened it up for very liberal limits and no plugs in the gun, so you can shells in your shotgun as possible. So it's kind of a fun little time. We're trying to help the flock, just take as much out as possible to help the welfare of the geese. And it's it's fun to sit in a blind and have a good time and laugh, and it's a time that not many people get to understand and enjoy. It's a good time. It's different than any waterfowl hunting that I've done. It's different than Canadian goose hunting. It's different than duck hunting. You're not out there to shoot limits. You're out there to have a good time and help the flock or the population of the snow goose decrease a little bit. Obviously, we can't do much because of there's not enough of us out there harvesting these things. So
right, awesome.
We found the safest snow geese are the ones coming right at Andy's head because so.
Scary. I mean, seriously, I hit the deck. I plugged my ears and hit the deck and said, "Someone shoot this thing."
Well, that sounds like we got some awesome stories from the weekend. So let's dive in and hear just a little bit about what you guys experienced over the few days that y'all were there and what it was like. Andy, you go first. Or Todd, you go first. I don't care.
Well, I just want to say, going back to what Todd said about when he came home and was like, you need to go on this and you need to meet people.
Yes.
We've been doing, Zoom calls, there's emails, there's social media, but you can't disregard the importance of building relationships face to face. And for me, I mean, there were some other things that came up, obviously, but that was for me one of the most exciting things. Was, you know, I have a bunch of new friends who, if something ever happened to Todd, we were talking about this earlier, you know, my connection with hunting is very intertwined with him. And if something, heaven forbid, happened to him, I don't know how much I would hunt by myself on our property. But I know I could call any of these guys in a heartbeat and say, hey, will you go out hunting with me? Can I fly out there and go hunting? And they would, Delaney, Andy, Tyler, would drop anything and say, yep, come on, let's go. Let's get out in the woods. And to me, that was a really cool experience, that I now have these really close friends. And I really wasn't expecting it to bond with these guys as quickly and as well as we did. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And she did just up my life insurance, so I was trying to figure out why.
No, she wasn't planning on you coming back from that snow goose hunt, is what it sounded like.
She started piling up my guns and putting in.
No, and I do have to agree with that. Heather said, I met Todd before out in Colorado, but there is something to say to meeting our staffers together. I mean, I met Sam, I met you, Sam, I met Nick down in Texas, stuff like that, and Chester. Obviously I'm with Drew and stuff like that, but just what Heather said, we just kind of clicked so fast. It was so nice. It was like we had conversations that most people within 12 hours wouldn't have with each other.
Yeah, man, I want to talk about that just briefly, and especially us having a conversation here. But if there are any new or unfamiliar listeners with what our staff program is and everything, we have it's almost 36 now, staff members of different capacities across the country. And one thing I'm really proud of, and I honestly, I don't take any credit for it, because you guys are the ones who have done all the work yourselves and built the bond, but it's not just a staff program for a hunting company, where you're just a number in a system, or that's what you feel like. It's an actual family, and an opportunity. Yeah, and opportunities like this are 100% how you build that bond and strengthen that bond. As y'all have already alluded to, I can speak to the first true staff hunt we had down in Texas a few years ago. Andy was there, and I'll obviously I wish I was there with you guys on this one. I second everything y'all say, though, with just clicking with people right out of the gate, because we had 10 guys in that camp, some follow-up session staff members, a couple that weren't. And it was just, we clicked. And I'll tell this about Andy too, because that staff hunt was technically before Andy joined our staff.
That was not on staff.
Yeah, he was a guest, and I remember Drew texted me and was like, "Hey, can I bring my buddy?" And I was like, I guess so. We got a spot. I guess you can if you want to. If he wants to buy a Texas hunting license, he can come down. And I remember we were waiting on Chris, the guy who was helping us get set up there and kind of run us around and everything the first couple days. We were waiting on him to show up. We were, an hour or so early. And we're literally just parked on the side of the road. Like Drew was there, and then I pulled up, and we're literally parked on the side of the road waiting for him to come and punch in the gate code and everything. And Andy gets out, and I didn't even know his last name. Like I just knew it was Drew's buddy Andy. That's all I knew. And from the first second he opened his mouth, it was like we'd known each other for our entire lives. Like it's just, I don't know what it is about hunting camp, man, but it is a special place. It truly is.
And that was exactly it. Andy and I have met before. I mean, when we saw each other, we're like, big hug. Like Heather had to separate us. We're like, we're not gonna let go.
Middle of the highway, big hug.
Middle of the highway. Yeah, right in the middle of the road.
And there's cars coming at us. We were hugging it.
But even meeting Tyler and Delaney for the first time, it was hugs all around. It's like we've known each other forever, our entire lives.
Yeah.
So, and we just clicked, like you said, we just clicked from the very get go. And just like when we were in Colorado, Andy, same thing with Tim, and same thing with Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great to hang out with Tim. Tim was great too. I mean, yes, It's just nice to meet everybody. I mean, and Heather, I'm so glad to get to meet you. I mean, you fit right in with us. I don't know how you did that, but
I've been married to Todd for too long.
He's calloused.
no, nothing. It's like we never missed a beat. It was just like, it's like we known each other for 5-6 years. I mean, it was incredible. So
That's awesome.
In terms of the goose hunt, what really attracted me was just the sheer numbers. You had asked Andy about what attracts him to goose hunting, snow goose hunting. Just the sheer numbers. Oh my goodness. It was, you're seeing hundreds of thousands a day, What's that?
Did you guys saw the 100,000? I mean, miles of geese. I mean,
Miles of geese.
Wow.
The last day that we were packing up, we got back to the lodge and we stood there for, 15, 20 minutes watching snow geese fly by in packs of thousands for as far as you could see.
Holy cow.
And it went on. You couldn't, they just went on and on and on. And so we packed our vehicles up. Hour or more later, they were still coming and they were still stretched out. And it was just crazy. There was probably over 1 million geese that we had seen just packed in the vehicles. So
you can see the pictures and the videos of snow geese on the lake, but to actually witness like a lake that is white and you can see it moving, or you can see the tornado of the snow geese, which we got to see a little ways away from us. There's no video, no picture that takes the place of being there watching it in person. It was absolutely unbelievable, the sheer numbers of the snow geese that were there. And I didn't even understand the whole conservation point of it really until Andy filled us in on all of that and how important that piece is to hunting and why we do have that conservation period and what they're doing up north. I was blown away by the numbers.
Wow.
Your numbers. I mean, you nailed you nailed it right there. I mean, just the complete 100,000s of geese that we saw over 3 days. Incredible.
So Andy had talked to us a little bit. He was our resident expert. He had done it before. Heather and I have never snow goose hunt before. So he was talking to us one day in the blind during one of our down periods, was just explaining the conservation piece to it and about the fact that these sheer numbers, because they're all migrating up to Canada, there are so many of them, they're destroying the tundra. So they're losing their breeding ground. They're losing their feeding ground. They're just dying off from starvation and so on and so forth, because there's so many of them. And that's absolutely, and you, it's hard to believe until you actually see it. And it's like, oh my goodness, I never knew this actually existed. Yeah.
Right. And exactly. I mean, and the tundra is a very sensitive ecosystem, 100%. It gets sunlight and thawing very little. So if you guys want to ever look at something that Planet Earth has a video on, the show Planet Earth, they do a kind of a little short skit on snow geese. You should look it up. It's they actually have a fence around a certain area that shows what the tundra should be at and shows what the tundra is at. So I mean, we're not doing this just to have a good time and shoot these geese. I mean, we are, but we're kind of helping them out too at the same time. It's population control, and just like with anything, deer control, and I mean, we're all conservationists at the same point. So and that's one big point I want to make to this. I mean, you see big piles of birds, but you know what? Yeah, that's big piles of birds, but we're also donating that meat to food shelves, and we are doing other things with that. I mean, we're not wasting it, and that's one big point that I want to make too. Is that as much fun as pile pictures are and having a good time in there, we're also helping the ecosystem out in the tundra and also these geese. So.
And Joe, our guide, was explaining when he came in and sat down with us at the kitchen table about how the avian flu, the bird flu, got into the goose population as well. And so they had found a pile of about 10,000 snow geese that were dead from the avian flu. So that's another part of it. If you get sick birds, we actually did have one bird that was flying really weird. We were able to harvest, and we assume that those were side effects from the avian flu. So
and ask Tyler. Me and Tyler were in the end of the pit blind, and I was having a conversation with him like, that bird's not right, and he goes, yeah, that bird's not flying right. I mean, Tyler saw it too, so we all saw it.
Yeah. Man, the conservation side of all of this, I feel like we could talk about the importance of conservation, not just with birds, but with anything. That's an episode in and of itself. But you're 100% correct that hunters are the biggest conservationists out of anybody, anywhere. And, hate on them all you want, but this hunters are the reason that these animals like this, or animals that have been in danger, whatever end of the spectrum it might be, it's the reason that they're still here. So it's the reason that they're managed. So that's another conversation for another time, I feel like. But
sure. And then you look at the hunting side of it. Geez, the adrenaline rush. Our morning hunt. We had quite a few volleys. I think we ended up with 2 geese in the morning, and we missed probably 3 or 4 other ones. So we could have had a nice little handful.
I think we had 3. Did we have 3 geese in the morning? I think we had 3 geese in the morning.
We had 3. Yeah. But
then the evening, go on, Todd.
Geez, the flight path in the morning was way off, and so it was kind of off in the distance, and we had a few that would break off and come to us. But in the evening, flight path was directly over us. And it was, okay, pop up, boom, 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 empty your gun. Then you sit down and hurry up and reload. So it was just one right after another. Geez, we ended up going through, 3 boxes of shells within a, 20 to 30 minute period.
Oh, my word.
It was just insane. Yeah, it was crazy.
And that's the fun thing about this, the snow goose hunt, is you get to do that. I mean, there's low times, just like with deer hunting, or you have these down times. But when the action's hot, I mean, it's hot, and that's what keeps people coming back. It's like golf. You play golf, last shot, your best shot brings you back.
I'm not a golfer. I spend too much money on bow hunting, so.
Miniature golfer.
Yeah, putt. So, Andy, real quick, I'll ask you this question, since you, out of this group, you probably have the most experience with goose hunting and all that kind of stuff. Is there a major behavioral difference between snow geese and just what normal people would think of like a Canadian?
Oh, yes, 100%, yes.
How so?
Well, snow geese fly in mass numbers. It could range from a dozen to 1,000, even 10,000. I mean, they fly in big flocks, and that's their defense mechanism, I guess. There's a lot of eyes there. Okay, and these birds that we hunt, snow geese are very worrisome. I mean, they are very picky of where they land and what they do. I mean, you get some, not very smart ones, which is okay. We call them, the younger generation, the juvies. But you get the older generations that's been flying the flyaway from Canada to, down by you for 15 years. I mean, that's a lot of miles. They've seen everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are very intelligent birds compared to honkers, big giant Canadian geese, I guess. I'm not, we don't get too many lessers up this way. But lessers, they're kind of a similar way of snow geese. They come in big flocks. And specks are white front geese, speckle bellies. You guys saw the speckle bellies, and we had an amazing show with the speckle bellies.
Mm-hmm.
And they do mass numbers too. That's kind of their defense, large groups. And honkers, I mean, honkers, they do the same thing in the fall, but it's a little bit slower pace. They're bigger, they're stronger, they kind of can hold their own ground. But yes, there's a very difference between behaviors of different geese. Yes, awesome. Even ducks too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To Andy's point, we first got out in the blind Saturday morning, and there's frost on the ground, and so there were frost on the decoys as well. And with the sun coming up, the decoys were pretty sparkly with that frost on it.
Shine's not good. Shine's not good.
Yeah, Andy kept saying that they're going to be a little more weary because the sparkle coming off of the decoys, and even in the evening we were getting so many. But at first it seemed like they were coming into us where we'd have a volley, and something weird was happening. We couldn't figure out what was going on. We'd get a couple of geese that would break off and come down to us, and They were just on the edge of shooting range, and all of a sudden, boop, they peel off and go. And so, yeah.
It was weird because I'm like, well, nothing has changed from the morning, and I don't understand this, And shadowing, I mean, different shadows. I mean, when the sun goes down a different part, obviously it sets in the west, and then shadowing up on decoys, and some doesn't like it, or so. It's a weird game. Snow geese are very touchy. It's it's a very frustrating hunt. I'll tell you that. I mean, you can shoot 0 for 6 days in a row, and then you can shoot 100 for a day, and then that makes your season. So,
Wow, that's crazy.
I have not shot 100 yet.
If anybody would do it, it'd be you, I'm sure.
Oh,
No doubt.
yeah. No, I got next not this weekend. I got to stay home and do house things, and then next weekend I go up to North Dakota. I'll set my own spread. So I'll be hunting next weekend for some geese.
Awesome.
Tell them about how long that spread takes to set up.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about that in the lodge, and you know, originally they had told me that everything will be in the blind. We just set it up and we're good to go because it was a self-guided. But when the guide came in, he said, "No, I got everything set up for you." And Andy said something like, "Yeah, he did." That was his reaction.
That was exactly it.
I was so pumped. I'm like, "Oh, we get to sleep in. Thank you." No, but see, like that. But last weekend, so it was kind of a buddy hunt. I got 4 buddy Snow Goose guides, and it was a full body set. So we had some full bodies down there, but it's mostly socks. But just to put this perspective, we set 250 full body snow geese, and there was 8 of us, and it took us 2 hours.
Oh my word.
So
And we had 1,800 out for ours.
1,800?
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
They said the minimum was 1,500 and they run 18.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I'd hope that they already had that set up. Holy cow.
right.
And they had a variation of the different types of decoys. They had the socks, they had the ones that moved with the wind, and they had the
Full bodies and
full bodies. Yeah. So they had a variation, and then we had the e-collar going pretty much all day. And like Andy said, you'll go to bed tonight and you'll still hear it in your sleep. And
I'm still
We're
here.
still hearing it.
you're still hearing it.
It's an amazing time. It just just get everybody together, just have a good time, eat dinner, just have a couple meals together. It's a ball. Yeah.
The other thing that really amazed us, Heather and I were talking about it, is we came together as a group and everybody just assumed a role without saying, okay, family meeting time, everybody at the table, let's figure out who's going to do what. Everybody just fell into a role naturally.
Yeah.
And we just gelled and we just meshed so well, and everything just worked out so perfectly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh.
So, Todd and Heather, this was y'all's first time snow goose hunting. When y'all are on your way up there for this trip, or when it's finally coming together, it's finally about to happen, everything we work for, what were y'all's thoughts going into this, having never done it before?
So my first thought was, and I said this to Heather several times, weeks before, it's coming together. It's finally coming together. And then when things are happening so easily, because like I said, everything just flowed. You kind of, okay, where's the obstacle that comes in that's going to happen? Where it never happened. So, you know what I mean? And so my thought was, I couldn't believe how easy it was to put together. We got enough staff. The vision I had of getting staff together and enjoying each other's company and going after snow geese really came true. And I was just so excited to be able to go on this goose hunt. In terms of the goose hunt itself, my expectation was just to hang out in blind with these guys and have a good time. And if we got 5 geese on the ground, 1 per person, that would be perfect. That would have made my whole weekend. Turns out we got 15, so 3 per person. So we certainly exceeded all of our expectations. And like I said, we're able to really connect at a level that you really can't when you're visiting with each other electronically. So
Right.
I know for me, I don't usually get to go on the hunts because normally both of us, with having 2 young kids, both of us can't be gone. It's real, especially during the school year. How do we work it where someone's watching our kids or managing the farm while we're gone? So for me, just being able to figure it out and be able to go on the hunt was a huge deal for me. Having it fall in a time where we're waiting for spring break to hit. I have a little bit of a downtime from coaching between basketball and track. And just being able to get away, meet some new people, get some geese on the ground. I couldn't have asked for a better experience. And to be honest, even if we hadn't got any geese on the ground, we had so much fun that there was no doubt this was going to be an annual event.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for how hooked I am now on snow geese hunt. I mean, I love deer hunting. I love pheasant hunting.
Yep.
Those are my jams, but this was unbelievable. And Andy said, you have the down times, but you don't have to be as silent. You can have great conversations.
Oh yeah.
And then it's not for just like one shot for a deer, or maybe on a really amazing deer hunt, you get two shots. It's just multiple times, or potential for multiple times, of some really rapid fire and great action. And you never knew. I think you said it, Andy, 10 minutes can completely change the hunt. And that's how it was.
Yep.
That the Sunday morning when we were out, we were seeing stuff, but not much. And then all of a sudden we had some come in and we put some on the ground and we were happy. Drake got to go get them out of the pond. And by the way, that's an awesome dog, Andy.
Yep.
Thank you.
He made a cameo. Drake did a phenomenal job bringing the geese in for us. So yeah, it was just
his voice. That's why.
Drake's such a good boy. But yeah, it was just getting together. And like I said, being able to put some geese on the ground was unbelievable.
Awesome.
So a couple other impressions I had was that it was similar to deer hunting in that the majority of the activity is early in the morning or in the in the evening.
Exactly.
But it wasn't like deer hunting in that you don't have to worry about scent control. You have to worry about your concealment a little bit, but not as much as deer hunting. You don't have to worry about how much noise you make. You know what I mean? We were having just regular conversations like this in the blind as geese were flying over our head, and it didn't seem to bother them at all. So that was fun. Andy did mention something about this was your first time hunting with women, right?
Yes, yes. It was my first time hunting with females. Yes, and it was great. Yeah, awesome. I mean, Heather made the trip, by the way. And Delaney. I'm not putting Delaney up there, but yeah, Delaney was awesome. What a sweetheart that little lady is. And Heather, yes, she's amazing. So yeah.
You're just saying that because I fed you guys.
And he's like, my guy friends can't cook this good, so I'm
She's welcome all the time.
So
no, it was amazing. It was amazing. I'm gonna go back on this again. We're just like a family. It was awesome. It means so much to me. I had a long 6-hour drive home, and that's all I thought about is just the camaraderie, you guys and everybody together. I mean, it was special. I got to go down to Texas. I got to see this, him and and do that. And that was a ball. I've never done that before. Go out to shoot, pheasants on Colorado. I didn't think there was pheasants in Colorado, to tell you the truth. I just had to go see if there was. And then this, I love how we can do this together. That's the fun part.
So and we just got all excited about what everyone else was able to accomplish. And I know you'll probably talk about it when you meet with Tyler, but that shot that he put up and dropped 2 birds, and we got it on film.
I talked about Tyler's double.
It was unbelievable. And we were screaming. We were so excited for him. It was absolutely epic. And so that feeling of just being so excited, I don't even know if I put a bird on the ground. I didn't care. We were all excited for when a bird went on the ground. It didn't matter who shot it.
Yeah.
No, it was funny. This is how it went in. So we had a 3-pack come down, 4-pack. I guess I don't remember. And then I'm shooting at the right bird. And then I got Tyler next to me, and then I'm shooting at this thing, and all of a sudden I see 2 birds drop out of my peripheral vision, and he just lights up. I got 2. Awesome.
That's awesome.
Good for him. It was a great experience. I loved having him there too. Yeah, and Delaney. Don't forget about Delaney too. Yeah, she was sweet.
Delaney was absolutely fantastic.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect for the group. Yeah.
Yeah.
I go back to Tim's farm when we were on the pheasant hunt. And geez, I got home and like I said, I went to Heather first. Said you got to meet these people in person. Well, the next person I contacted was Sam and say, how do we meet everybody in person? I was even coming up with ideas of, I know Andy's from Minnesota. If Michigan's playing Minnesota, maybe we'll go up there for a football game and just
betcha.
Oh, you betcha.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You betcha.
You betcha. I don't got an accent. Hey, you guys want to go on the boat?
Me?
Well, guys, that's perfect. We as you've emphasized, as all of y'all have talked about multiple times, just the camaraderie and being able to get folks together, and it seems like we got more opportunities coming, and to follow up on that, what you're talking about, Todd, with coming back from that pheasant hunt, that's your phone call to me. You've referenced that a few times now. That really sparked some stuff in my mind and got it was a slow process on some of it, but it got the ball rolling on some other stuff. One of them is the role that you filled, as of now, as our one of our staff coordinators. And you've done a lot of work, and obviously with this hunt, trying to put stuff like this together, and that's the idea behind not only your role, but what we want to do for our staffers, in getting people together and providing more opportunities. We saw that we wanted to do that from the Texas hunt. The pheasant hunt, even though it was a smaller group, reaffirmed that, and then I'm super pumped to have seen this event come together and you guys get together, because like I told y'all before we start recording, I've seen the videos and the photos, and obviously if you guys, our listeners, follow us on social media, you've seen frequent posts for the past couple weeks about this stuff, and it's probably not going to stop anytime soon, if I'm being honest. There's a lot of content there for sure, and it was a good time. But
my bad.
No, that there's also a lot of content our listeners and our viewers aren't going to see. So
Sam, I just want to comment on how well Todd is doing with this. Amazing. I mean, if it wasn't for him, we would do this. So I do have to say a big thanks to Todd and taking the bull by the horns and doing this. I mean, really, thank you for this. I appreciate it. So
no problem. It was a blast. Like I said, my vision came to fruition, and that's kind of the way the weekend went, was exactly how I envisioned it. And well, I shouldn't say that. I envisioned us each getting a bird, and we got more than one bird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't expect us to have so much fun and have so much fun in terms of having it captured on footage, because I go back and I look at that blooper reel and, oh my gosh, I can't stop laughing. And so there are times I pull it up in class and I start watching it, and the first time I watched it, I was laughing so hard I was crying. And one of my kids are like, "Are you okay, Mr. Todd?"
It's just us. Don't worry.
But I didn't. Going into this, I didn't realize that I would have as much fun to start crying when I'm watching this. And like Andy said, he thought about the whole 6-hour drive. Heather and I talk about it every day, and I think it's been a couple of weeks now, and I think about it every day. Geez, when can we get back together again? And our next little excursion that we have so far is the bow fishing trip, and man, I am so looking forward to getting down there and just hanging out with some people. And
heck yeah.
So much fun, and I also look back at the hunt. Like I said, originally it was scheduled for February of 21, and Andy couldn't commit at that time because it was such short notice. And I look back and say, maybe it worked out for the best, because without Andy, oh my gosh, we learned so much from Andy, so much. And he's just a great teacher and is very patient with all of us, and helped us understand what we needed to do. So, and Tyler's hunted goose before too, so he and Tyler together made a good pair to really teach those that haven't had experience before.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, Tyler was there right with me. Yeah. Got some credit to Tyler too. So
yeah, for sure.
Well, I know we'll obviously, like I mentioned, we'll get Tyler and Delaney on here for next week's podcast, part 2 of this conversation. I know there will be some similarities with this one, I'm sure, but to speak with the group that I have here now, and you, Andy, it's kind of funny because, Todd, you talk about, thinking about it all the time, recalling that never goes away, man. Like,
it never goes away.
Andy, I swear, every time you send in some content to Fall Obsession, Nick and I look at it, and one of us says to the other, "Hey, you remember down in Texas when Andy said this or Andy did that?" And we just start laughing and stuff, man. Like, I mean, we you never forget it, man. It's just this stuff lives with you forever.
Man. I'm here because I love you guys. No, I love it. That's great. Yeah, it's great. But.
And really, years ago, I can't remember when I first contacted you, Sam, about becoming a part of Fall Obsession. Even then, I was just trying to find a group of people that I could connect with and share my passion of the outdoors and hunting. And, I've certainly found that within Fall Obsession. And I'm hoping the people that watch this really get a sense of, how much fun snow goose hunting is. If they've never tried it, they got to try it, and B, the types of relationships you can build with groups of people that are from all over. Andy's from Minnesota, Tyler was from Kansas, Delaney from Indiana, Drew also from Minnesota, Tim went on a pheasant hunt from Colorado. Just you come together as a group, and it doesn't matter what your background is, it doesn't matter where you're from. You just connect at a totally different level, and that was my hope when I contacted you, Sam, about becoming part of Fall Obsession. And like I said, it's all worked out. It's so much fun.
I said early on in this podcast, and I'll re-emphasize it, and it's credit to you guys, because it doesn't happen without y'all. But it's a family, it's a brother and sisterhood. This is
absolutely
it's our own family, and that's the way it's meant to be. I don't want to downgrade it or make it sound less than it is, but we're an online company. This is an online hunting camp, is what our group is, and we're fortunate to have opportunities like this to actually make it a true, real hunting camp. And when it is that, it's just, y'all know it just as well as I do how special it is.
Remember, boss man. Hey, remember, boss man. We're not here. We're all here because of you. So,
man, I don't. We're
all here. You.
No. I'm staying humble here, Andy. Come on, man.
He's trying. He's getting himself anchored to the floor.
Yeah, you're gonna make me blush over here, man.
And we're all very happy to be a part with what you do and be right next to you doing what we love to do. So,
well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate all y'all and all the hard work you each put into this, for sure. It's
we do too.
It's a lot of work on all sides of this, and I look forward and have big hopes and ambitions for where this company, where these people are going with this thing. I look forward to seeing what months and years to come have in store. But we're all going together, and I look forward to it. So,
absolutely,
perfect.
So, anything else that we need to know about this hunt, about this experience? Anything else you guys want to share before we head for home base here?
I think one of the cool things too that kind of happened with this is talking about how we get some of our, because we have 2 young kids. Andy's got 2 young kids, and how we continue. Yep,
there's one right there. Yeah.
Here, me too. How we continue, especially having young girls. How do we continue to incorporate them into the hunting world, and incorporate some of these trips into more almost family vacations in some ways too, because we don't want to be separated from our kids, well, there's some days now, I'm not gonna lie.
I know.
But to be able to raise young females and young males who are excited about hunting, who are excited about conservation, who are look at you, and to be able to bring them along on some of these hunts, and I think is a really cool conversation that came up several times when we were there. I know for me, I don't get to go out and hunt as much. I have a lot of things a lot of responsibilities. I do not get to normally just drop everything and go hunt or jump on a plane and go somewhere. And so be able to tell my story as a mom doing this, and as a wife, and as and so that other females who are out there get to see that side. Like, no, it's okay. I took like 5 years off of hunting. COVID really got me back into it. Pheasant hunting really got me back into it, and that's okay. This should be fun. It should be exciting. And whatever your story is, however unique it is, just own it, enjoy it, and don't be afraid to share it. And I think that's, you know, the stories that we share, you know, as an English teacher, I'm always telling the kids, people are going to remember the stories you tell. They're not going to remember the facts. They're not going to remember the statistics. They remember your story. So I just love the fall obsession stories. The zebra story that came up. I mean, that was fantastic.
What was the zebra story? Zebra story?
The zebra story.
Yeah, your zebra story.
Oh,
We're talking about you, man.
Yeah, we're holding the banana, you know.
that banana's good luck. It's good luck.
But being able, like, wait a minute, I must have missed that video. And so we were like, one Saturday morning, we were going through watching just tons of video, and I think we rewatched that one like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Man, so that's a rabbit trail off of snow goose hunting, obviously. But at this point, I feel like I got to talk about it on this episode. You know, if anybody's not familiar, and it's just a good story. But I'll tell it from my perspective. Andy obviously has the first-hand perspective. So that is the first morning of that Texas staff hunt, the first true staff hunt that we had, and it was pouring rain that first morning, and I spent the morning running some guys around to different blinds and stuff, but I was like, man, I'm actually not gonna hunt this morning. Like, I'm gonna get these people where they want to be, and then I'm gonna just come back to the lodge and make sure everything's set up first morning for breakfast and stuff like that. So there's plenty of time to kill, you know, after you get everybody dropped off and it gets daylight. And I'm sitting on the front porch with our business manager, Nick Latham. And him and I, we hadn't seen each other. We both live in Texas, and at the time, we hadn't even seen each other in a long time. So we're just catching up, you know, hanging out, drinking coffee. And I get a text from Drew, and he's like, hey, are there exotics on this property? And I was like, well, honestly, I mean, Chris and Matt didn't really say a whole lot about it, but I mean, this is a huge property, and I imagine there's some out here, you know. Why? He goes, I just had a zebra walk in front of me, and I'm like, really? A freaking zebra? And he's like, yeah, Andy and I just had a zebra walk right in front of us. And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. And I can only imagine 2 boys from Minnesota who have never hunted Texas before sitting in a ground blind and had no idea that like they were just going to be excited to see deer. Hey, Andy, you take it, man. Tell us about it.
No, so we're sitting there, and you know, the cow came through. It kind of had some cool horns. One had a little drop tine kind of thing, and we're sitting there kind of joking around, and the one thing walks back, and all of a sudden I'm eating a banana, and I look back and went, oh my, you know, I mean, absolutely incredible. It blew my mind. I haven't been that close to a zebra, not even at a zoo. It blew my mind. Like you said, Sam, 2 boys from Minnesota. I mean, seriously, never would. Yeah. And Drew's sitting there laughing at me because,
man, it's the best frame grab I think we've ever had on any of our content. And I know Drew and I talked about it in our content creator podcast episode. I'm gonna put it on the screen again right now in the podcast video for this one. That way our viewers can see. It's just it's too good not to share, man. It's too good.
You gotta make a fat head for Andy.
Blew my mind.
I have to put that on a T-shirt.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
I mean, Chris told us they were blacktail or some Sitka back in the back 40.
I think he mentioned like Axis and some black buck on the place, but that's all.
Yeah. And so I was saying, so yeah, the Axis deer out there. I'm just gonna see whitetail, maybe some quail, you know, maybe some cows. Never a zebra. Never a zebra.
How far away from the blind was it? It looked close in the video.
No, literally, 3 yards. If 5 yards is the max. I'm seriously. It was, I mean, stupid close. That's why it blew my mind. I mean, I could smell it. I mean, I could smell it.
But again, an experience you won't forget.
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. And that's why I love these what we do, because we get to go do these things, and I have these memories, and we talk about it to this day. I mean, this is yeah. For sure. It's an amazing thing, so.
For sure. Well, guys, I could sit here and talk with this group, I feel like, I feel like forever. Todd, you got a great group out here in the Midwest region of our fall session staff. I know it's already grown a little bit, since we've been doing this. I hope we keep seeing it grow. I hope that hunts like this keep happening. I hope we get more of a turnout from the snow goose hunt. For all I know, I might have to be jockeying for a spot next year. Everybody hears about the good time it is. Everybody's going to want in on it.
I'm going to tie you up, bring you up. Don't worry.
All right, Andy said he's bringing me, so I got an in. All right, I'm good.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, we've already planned. And really, when we the thing that stuck out to me most with Squaw Creek Hunt Club there was it was centrally located. I mean, it was perfectly located for all of us within the group, the Midwest group there. So, we weren't driving all the way across the country to go on a hunt. It was just a perfect location. Scott, the owner, and Joe, our guide, went way above and beyond to make us feel comfortable. Felt like we were just at home. We could have any conversation. Like I said, Joe walked into, I'm sure, an inappropriate conversation, and he felt like he was at home, and so he responded. And this guy is really nice.
This guy's cool. Yeah.
We never had any inappropriate conversation.
No, never.
No, and I do have to say, I've snow goose for 8 years. I've been around guides and stuff like that, and Squaw Creek does a heck of a job. They do know their stuff. If anybody's looking for that place, yes, good place to go. And our lodging accommodations was amazing. I mean, I could have lived in that house.
For sure.
Awesome.
For sure. Yeah, we walked in and we were like, "Is this the house we get to stay in?"
I go, Todd.
What we were expecting. We were like, this is awesome. Yeah.
I don't think they want dirty construction work or hunters in here.
Yeah.
Well, guys, awesome talking to y'all this evening about it. Like I said, I feel like we could just keep talking forever, but at some point, you gotta wrap up and head for home. And like I said, this is only part one. Next week on our podcast, we're gonna have Delaney and Tyler with us and Todd will be back again for part two to get their side of everything. They can make fun of Andy without him being present, so.
Hey, whatever he says, don't believe everything.
Don't believe everything. All right. We'll start the episode off. We'll make sure everybody's well aware. Hey, don't be careful what you hear on this one.
We'll start off with, hey, Delaney, Andy said, oh, you betcha. And she laughed the whole thing.
Perfect. I'll write it down. I'll make a note of it for sure. So
you have Sam, you have some amazing people on your staff, and I just want to say thank you for doing this for us. So
it's my pleasure, man. I love doing it. I love seeing these groups come together and all this transpire. Like I said, I can't take credit for it. It's all y'all, but it's awesome to see, and I'm glad we're doing this. So
and Todd, always thank you very much for team leader. I really appreciate it. So
no problem. Thank you for helping us learn.
Learn
about snow geese.
We're together, man.
If anybody wants to learn about snow geese, I got a contact. You should throw your Twitter or your email up there.
It's going in 2 weeks. Anybody want to come with me?
I'm going south for spring break. We've already talked about this. I don't go north. I go
Heather,
south.
I'm sorry.
That was legit.
That's fine.
That was a legit discussion, Sam, too, in the blind. Andy, I'm going to be up in South Dakota. I'm like, ooh, spring break. So in my mind, I'm trying to figure out how can I go up to South Dakota and make it back down to Gulf Shore.
just swing through on your way down. You know,
it's just a little.
Yeah, just a little detour. Not far.
You know what? It makes sense. I can sell your Final Four tickets. I'll sell yours. Go ahead, go. And I'm keeping the money.
Sell 2 of them. I mean, crepes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, for our listeners, we appreciate you guys tuning in to another Fall Obsession podcast episode. If you guys have not already, be sure that you like, follow, subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. Leave us a review. We're on all the major podcast platforms, as well as our website, fallobsession.com, and our YouTube channel. We got multiple new videos coming out every week on our YouTube channel right now, trying to keep that content rolling. There will be a video. I got to talk to Nick and see when it's going to fall in relation to this episode, but sometime in the near future, around the time this episode comes out, the footage from this hunt, he's putting it together and working on that. So excited to see that coming. This podcast is also one of our video podcasts. So 2-3 days after we drop the audio, the video will be live on YouTube. So you guys can go see these lovely faces and how hard Andy's laughing throughout this entire episode. So always cracks me up.
Oh, I'm just a goofball.
But Andy, you're such a glue,
Oh yeah,
person for our
wouldn't be the
team,
same
like,
without you, man.
Yeah, it is not the same. And as kudos, I mean, you're giving kudos to everyone else, but it's a huge kudos to you as well of just how inviting you are and how friendly you are and accepting of everyone you are. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, this is who I am. This is.
Hey man,
we love it.
our ratings for this episode are gonna go way up just because you're on it. So.
I hope so.
Oh man.
Heather put her makeup on and.
We'll tell Nikki say hi.
Yeah, for sure. Nick actually he wanted to be on this podcast. He was going to try to make it, but he had some other. It was going to be close and it didn't work out. So he was. We just got to get you, Andy. We got to get me and Nick together for an episode at some point again too. That'll be a fun time. But
well, make sure you tell him to keep the stick on the ice, and Sorry, it's a bit. Yeah, you guys understand that.
Yeah. Well, I'll let them know. Fallobsession.com. That is our website. That's the hub. That's where you guys can find all of our great content, educational articles, wild game recipes, our video series. We have our apparel on there. We got some spring designs that we are finally in the finalizing stages on those. About to have them hit our stores. Looking forward to having that happen, as well as a hat design restock. So a lot of good stuff finally coming that we've been waiting on for a while. Fallobsession.com/podcast. That's not only where you guys can listen to our podcast on our website, but it's also where you guys can provide feedback. There's a form on there you guys can fill out. And on that note, we're coming up very quickly now at this point on episode 100. This is episode 97, I think. So episode 100 is going to be the 4 Fall Obsession admins sitting down, kind of talking about how we got to where we are and kind of what's special about everything we're doing. I'm sure this event will even come up in that conversation, guys, as special and significant as it's been. But another thing we're doing, we're allowing our listeners to be a part of that episode 100 conversation. So if you guys have any general feedback, questions, topic suggestions you want us to briefly talk about or mention, plug, whatever it might be, we will do it in that podcast episode. I can't even talk now. I'm been laughing so hard, but we'll talk about it in that podcast episode here in a few weeks. So be sure you go to the website and fill out that form. Again, fallobsession.com/podcast. Finally, the last thing I'll say, Ridge Rock Hunt Company, they are our podcast partner. Derek and Lacey over there in Mississippi. Good people. They book hunts with vetted outfitters who are hunted by blue-collar outdoorsmen like all of us. So if you want a good experience, obviously we got a plug for a snow goose outfitter in Missouri, but if you're looking for whitetail, mule deer, elk, anything across North America and outside of North America, give Derek a call over there and he will hook you up. He's one of those guys that as soon as you get on the phone with him, it's like all these folks, you feel like you've known him forever. So he'll take good care of you. We vouch for him for sure, obviously, and we're actually trying to get them back on the podcast here pretty soon too. So looking forward to that. So Ridge Rock Hunt Company, go check them out. Todd, Heather, Andy, thank you guys for joining me this week. It's been a fun time. We're gonna have to get all y'all back on here again. It's a good time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So. You betcha. Oh, you betcha.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it, Andy. Oh, you betcha. Come on.
Oh, you betcha.
There we go. All right.
That's it.
Good way to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Todd, you got something from your guys.
Yeah. Stay obsessed.
Stay obsessed.
Stay obsessed.
All right, guys. Stay obsessed. We'll catch y'all again next week for part 2 of our Midwestern High podcast episode. We'll see y'all then.